Love is Blind Ohio has some very interesting people. I don't know, something about this season just seems a little bit all over the place to me. The way they were rushing through those scenes, some things that we didn't really get to see, and it was just flashbacks. So many things happening, y'all, but let's talk about it.
Kay Unscripted, no teens restricted. In this journey, watch our stories unfold.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. This is Kay Unscripted. I am your girl Kay, and today we're going to be talking about all things Love is Blind season 10. We're only doing episode 1 today, but there's so much to talk about in this episode. Well, not so much, but I really wanted to make sure that I don't miss anything in each episode, so I'll be doing each of the episodes separately. So let's just get right into it. The episode starts with Nick and Vanessa Lachey. We see them in both of the quarters, the girls' quarters and then the guys' quarters. They usually ask the guys and the girls why they think love is blind. And guys, it's nothing new that they're saying. It's pretty much everything that I read about their bio. I have a whole video on that, so you can check it out if you haven't seen it yet. The link is going to pop up somewhere on the screen. So take a moment to go and check out this video. So let's get into these dates. So the way they edited the first episode, they kind of rushed through a couple of a bunch of the dates. But let's talk about the first date we see between Jordan and Amber. They talk about how they're both foodies. Amber says she loves to make breakfast. She's always making Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, and off the bat she mentions her daughter. She talks about how stressed she used to be about money when she first had her daughter because she wasn't making that much, but she realized that really all her daughter wanted was love. She makes that comparison to being in a relationship, having someone to love you, even if you're down to the $1, okay, broke as hell. But making the best of that, and this is what she's looking for. Now that's really all we see from these two in this episode. The next date was Victor and Christine. Nothing too much happening here. They just briefly talk about their careers, and they both share that their moms trust their judgment for being on the show. Then there's Jessica and Chris, who have a date. They start light-hearted with the conversation about their pets, their jobs, and then Jessica shares that she's divorced. Now, I like the way she spoke about her ex-husband. I think that's kind of rare. We don't really see that happening too much. She says he's a good person, but the ideas of marriage were different. She says that she is full of love and she has this new zest for life and she wants to share that with someone. He also says that he would like to share life with his best friend, and I think that's the goal, right? Your spouse being your best friend. I think that's the best thing, or what everyone is really looking for in a marriage. Let's move on to Chris, who's on a date with Brianna, aka Breezy. So I think in my last video I said her name was Bri, so it's actually Brianna. She asked what he does to wind down, and he talks about doing jujitsu and ice plunges. She said she loves to do hard stuff. She loves challenging herself, and she also talks about being a pitcher in softball. He liked that, and that's pretty much what we see from these two. Brianna and Connor now have a date, and it seems like these two are connecting on everything so far. They like the same song, they're both competitive. She likes skiing and so does he. But it had me wondering, is he just agreeing with everything that Bri is saying because she came in bubbly and happy, and this was less of a serious conversation compared to his date with Brianna that we saw previously? But we'll have to wait and see how that kind of pans out. He then has a date with Emma, and Connor says that his mom often tells him to shut up, so we definitely know that Connor is a chatterbox. That's all we see really happening on that date with Emma and Connor. Now we see Emma on a date with Mike. They talk about wanting to be married and starting a family. And y'all, to me, the way Mike was talking about kids, it came off a bit superficial to me. But I like how Emma tells him that having kids changes the dynamics of a relationship. So it's more than just having a child and loving their loving them. There's so much more that goes into having a child. He does say that while he wants to have children, he doesn't mean he wants to have them right away. He says that, but it was definitely giving that he wanted to have children right away. Even in his confessional, it seemed like this is something that he wanted to happen immediately, right? Emma does reveal to him that she doesn't know if she wants to have kids, and that's because she doesn't know her birth family, and of course, with her medical issues, she is scared to pass down any of those to her children. Then she goes on a date with Steven. Now, y'all take a look at this guy, Steven. There's been so many scary stories about this guy. There's so much going on about him all over the internet. Steven gave me the creeps. I'm being so honest. There was something so strange about him. And I will say this was probably the most cringe date so far. And given what's out there about this guy, I believe the victims. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened, but it definitely gave that based on what we see. And I'm kind of happy that the show still aired Steven's date. I hope we get to see more dates with Steven, because it coincides with what the allegations are about him. Now let's get into this date. He says off the bat that he's not going to be coming with any serious hard questions in the beginning. He wants to banter and to have a little fun. Emma shares that her dog was also adopted. Steven then asks if she would ever adopt a child. I thought he said he wasn't going to get too deep, but I guess. Emma says that she wants the right person for kids, but she's definitely open to adopting. He says that he wants to do a Big Brother program, and he then shares a love story of his grandparents, how they didn't speak the same language, but ended up falling in love. We'll get into this trifling man a little later. There's so much to discuss about the Steven character. But this was day one in the pods. Then it's a new day. We see Kia and Kivan. They talk about their favorite movies. They get a little deeper in their conversation. He talks about his last relationship, and he says that his ex just wasn't his person, but she did teach him how to have hard conversations when things got tough and how to be patient. I feel like having hard conversations is necessary. It doesn't always feel comfortable talking about things that may hurt each other's feelings, but it's necessary to build any kind of relationship, especially marriage. We love a lesson, right? Shout out to the ex. Now, Kivan likes Kia, but he's also into Tyler. And I'm wondering, is this a love triangle? We're going to have to wait to see what happens with that. So this was just a little light chat between Kivan and Kia. They talk about what they're looking for in a partner. They talk about location. Are you willing to move? And she's pretty much down to be wherever her man is at. Now, that raised some alerts for me when it came to Kia, because she seems like the type who will go in 100 right away. And I feel like that can be a little scary or concerning, because you end up falling too deep too fast. You have to let a man pursue you. You have to let him put in the work, so it doesn't feel like you're giving too much of you and it's not being reciprocated. And that's when you realize that this person doesn't even like me. So that was a little alarming to me about Tyler. So Ashley and Alex have a date, and these two were straight up flirting and just getting it in. Not physically, but letting each other know what they like, kissing, massages, sex, and apparently he needs feedback. He wants to know if it was whack or not. I don't know, that was really strange. Now let's move on to Mike and Emma, who have another date. She says that he's attentive and that makes her feel supported, but Mike is still stuck on having children. Emma says that she struggles with this internally, and that's understandable given her adoption and the medical issues that she has had and how much of an impact it has had on her life. But she also said that she did come from a great family. Now, he kind of takes back his original thought of having a child right away. Remember, he said in their first day that he really wants to have children right away. But now that they're talking about it, he now says that he is not trying to force her to change her mind, but honestly it does come off that he is, because you're trying to tell her what you think she wants to hear. And from what I see from Emma, she doesn't look like the type who's easily swayed. She knows what she wants, she knows what she stands for, and she's going to stand on that. So him kind of taking it back and saying, oh, I don't want kids right away, I mean, in the future, I think that kind of raised some eyebrows for Emma. So that conversation with Mike was a little concerning to me, because they're clearly not aligning, and I think she realizes that, and she doesn't want to hurt his feelings. Now we also see Emma cutting things off with Connor, or what seems to be her ending things with Connor. She said that their conversations have been very surface level. She's not here for a mediocre relationship. They both kind of have a fear of being hurt. And if someone feels like your safe space, it's not going to be that hard to feel comfortable with that person. And I don't feel like Connor is really giving her enough, right? There's not too much going on to make her feel safe to open up. And then there's Steven the creep. So they're on another date, and she's trying to be serious with him, and he's just throwing jokes around about being a topless model. That's always been his dream and his hope. Just creepy, weird stuff, guys. And she keeps saying that she's getting the ick, and I feel like at that point Emma should have cut it off with Steven. And honestly, his voice alone gives me the ick, and I don't know why she elongated her time with Steven, but we'll get into that later. Now, Kristen and Victor have a cute date. There's food and all. You could see that things are really getting serious between these two. The food actually looks really great. We've barely seen much of these two, but they both talk about having a misdemeanor for having possession of Mary Jane. That was funny that both of them had a misdemeanor for the same thing. But I like that they were open and honest about it up front. He talks about having a bit of bad behavior when he was young, and once he got to college, realized that he didn't need to be normalizing that behavior. Big up you, Victor, for correcting a lot of things and not continuing in that path. Big up you. Now, Kristen also opens up about her mom and her struggles, and she's afraid that she will feel guilt from not doing enough. And y'all, when I tell you, this is such a real thing. She also shares that her mom passed over trauma to her kids and grandkids, and how her mom is unhealed. She's tried to encourage her to do therapy, but her mother is not interested. She also talks about the struggles of her dad, and y'all, when I tell you I related so much to her story, it really touched me, because parents really do be putting their children through some things that you now as an adult have to unlearn and to change and to work on, to struggle and suffer through, and it's just not okay. And the reality is that some parents will never take accountability for the things that they put their children through. And while I understand that we all have a choice to make a different decision, sometimes there are so many factors associated with what you went through in your childhood that just doesn't lead you to the right path. So I understand it so much what Kristen was saying. What I will also say is that sometimes in life you have to do what you need to do for your peace, for your health, and for the betterment of your life. And whatever that means to you, do that. I can tell that Kristen is really struggling with the things that her parents may have put her and her siblings through. But guess what? You cannot help those who don't want to help themselves, and you shouldn't have to carry that weight. This is something that I have learned. There are times when I really want to help my family because of their situations, and I carry that weight when I'm not able to help them, because I want everybody to be okay and to be happy and thriving like me. But at the end of the day, it's not up to me, it's up to them to step up and to make different decisions for their life. And I had to tell myself, this is not your burden to carry. So Christine, this is not your burden to carry. You do whatever you have to do so that the cycle doesn't continue with you. You could tell that Christine needs good people in her life, and I think Victor and his family can give that to her. So I'm really loving them so far. They would be my favorite couple thus far. Now let's move on to Emma and Steven, y'all. They're on another date. Now, the more I watch this Steven character, y'all know who he acts like. Remember this guy from season 9? His name was Nick and he was engaged to Annie. He speaks just like him. He acts just like Nick. Super icky. Oh my goodness. Now, let's talk about Steven. Steven knows that Emma isn't comfortable with the kids topic, but he decides anyways to bring it up again, which now forces Emma to open up about being adopted and not wanting or feeling the need to find her biological family. He then asks her if she would want to adopt because she knows how it feels, and she says yes. Now you could tell that Emma was struggling to open up. This wasn't something that she really felt comfortable maybe sharing with him, because she knows there are things that he has said or done that doesn't feel right. But she does end up sharing about her birthmark and her surgeries to remove the birthmark. And she also said that she has to get them checked out every year because she has birthmarks all over her body, just to make sure that she's in the clear. She said that this has affected her growing up, but I feel like this is still something that's affecting her now because she's having such a hard time talking about it, and that's quite understandable because this is something that changes your entire life, right? So Steven decides that he wants to get Emma out of the funk because she was starting to get really sad talking about what she's been through. So he gives this story about his first kiss, and he also asks her about her first kiss, and he's asking all type of questions. He asks her if she's comfortable sharing how she lost her virginity. When I tell y'all, my eyes were popping out of my head because what is that? What, y'all, I was flabbergasted. Okay, you can tell that this topic stirred up something in him, though. You could see the excitement in his face, in his voice. You can tell how aroused Steven was, and that is very concerning to me. Emma, on the other hand, she looks extremely taken off guard. She looks very uncomfortable. But Steven, no, he's loving it. He's having his moment. He wants specifics. He wants to know her age. He wants to know details. And then he calls her a late bloomer. She tells him that she doesn't like being called that because everyone is on their own journey and should not be judged for taking their time, which I absolutely agree with her. But y'all, if that wasn't side-eyeing enough, he makes reference of his first time having sex, right? Losing his virginity, being beautiful, and referencing a scene from The Notebook. But here's where it gets weird. He says that he watches that movie with every girlfriend because this is what he expects from them. That is just creepy as hell. And to top it all off, you think there wouldn't be more coming from Steven, right? While she's trying to explain herself, he decides that it's a moment for him to get another drink. Like, what? Are you okay? What is going on? I'm really trying to understand. Steven thinks that talking about his first kiss and the virginity story was going deep with Emma. Like, how in your mind is that going deep? But Emma, y'all, she sees right through his bullshit and says, yeah, I'm good on you. And I'm so happy that she cut it off. She should have cut it off a long time ago, but she ended it immediately with him because she knew this is going to get creepy and creepy. Now, y'all, did y'all see the way he stormed out of that room? You could tell he was pissed off that he didn't have his way. And then he had the nerve to walk into the guy's quarters, making it seem like he was the one who made the decision to end things with her. Oh my god, this guy is so weird. Now we see a snippet of different dates between Victor and Christine. They're going deep. They open up with each other. We see a scene of them saying that they love each other. Again, I don't know why they cut it off in that way. I don't know why they showed it in that way. I wish you would have seen many of the other dates. But then in real time, we see them on a date. She wrote a prayer and she shares that with him. And so we end this episode with our first engaged couple, Christine and Victor. Congratulations to them. All I know, y'all, is that something dramatic ends up happening in the next episode, but we'll stop here for now. So tell me all of your thoughts. How are you feeling about the season so far? Well, episode 1, what do you think of our first engaged couple? Let's talk about the Steven of it all. Please share all of your thoughts with me on this. Remember to like this video, share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. Yeah, go ahead and subscribe. Y'all, episode 2 of Love is Blind season 10 is coming up. So look out for that, and I'll see you all there. Bye.